Hi everyone. So yes, I'm from Perth, that lovely place that's 3 hours behind, but one thing we're not behind on is sustainability. So that's why I'm here, but I'm also here as part of a WA contingent. I think there's about 4 or 5 of us, a few down the back there and things like that, but otherwise, so there is quite a few of us around. Okay, so this buzzer's notoriously been painful for everyone today. It's actually not that painful. Okay, so far today, so far on the journey that we've had with sustainability in WA, we've actually used the pilot tool that AGIC came up with all those many years ago. We used it on not one, but I think it was 2 or maybe 3 projects, and we used it quite extensively on these projects. Then later on, back in, I do recall September 2012, the ISCA launched their IS tool. And then we went through and got our first as-built rating 4 months later. That one I was actually involved in, and I can tell you that was an experience. Now we're saying that it's all integrated into project contracts, and also getting to the point where it's incorporated into concept designs. Well and truly before other major decisions are made, projects are getting registered for IS ratings. And we're starting to get to the point where it's becoming the exception and not the exception. So, our first project that we had, Great Eastern Highway Upgrade. This was a lovely project to be on. I should know because I spent 3.5 years of my life on it. It was a small project really, 4.2 kilometre upgrade. It was a nightmare of a road to drive on. When I first got my licence back many years ago, I drove up that street once and vowed never ever to do it again. Now I don't mind it so much. But we implemented the ISCA tool on this job back when it was in a pilot form. Then we also did the rating, and we did it retrospectively. But we still managed to get a commended outcome, which was great, given that there were so many things that we did do quite well. One of the things that we did on this job was that we used recycled crushed concrete and recycled sand for the first time on a major project in WA. We also used RAP, or reclaimed asphalt pavement, for those that aren't in the roads industry, and then also warm mix asphalt, which was great. Then, building on the success of this job, and basically the next one starts at the end of the right-hand side of this slide, is the Gateway WA project. This one was just finished back earlier this year. It's another project that's close to my heart, another number of years of my life on it. But it was our largest infrastructure project to date out in WA. I know $1 billion is not that much necessarily over here, but for us in Perth, it's pretty major. One of the key things about the Gateway project, well, there's many key things, but it was a very environmentally sensitive project. I can't think of anything other than an unexpected heritage site. Otherwise, everything else, we had it. You name it, we had it. Rare flora, we didn't have just one, we had 2 species, all of that sort of stuff. Then we also had to work in line with the airport as well, and it resulted in having to install 3 bath structures on the job. Because we couldn't build as high as we wanted to, like we normally do with road projects, we actually had to sink part of the road below the groundwater level. So we made the opposite basically of a bath. We have the parts of the road in concrete structures that look like baths, and it's to keep the groundwater out basically. So it's a fair whack of things on the project to worry about. In terms of how it all worked out with the IS rating, we've got our design and our as-built up on the screen there. And yeah, as you can see, we went through the design rating and got a rating just over 50, which was great. Then we went through as-built and got over the 60 mark, which was even better. But if you have a look at the webs just quickly, you'll notice that we didn't think we'd do all that well in heritage or stakeholder. We ended up doing fantastically. We thought we'd do great in procurement. That didn't really happen, to be honest. And it's a great reflection of when systems are set up, but they're not carried through. And that was one big lesson learned at Gateway for me, was that just because you set something up, particularly as designers, whether or not it's in concept or detailed design phase, just because you set it up doesn't mean it's going to happen. You know, we have enviro officers on jobs for a reason. We have safety officers on jobs for a reason. People still need to be reminded of it. Now, I'm just going to touch on a few of the great outcomes of the Gateway project, and on many of the slides you'll actually see notes down the bottom as to what the outcomes reflected in the rating tool, except on this first slide. So, for waste minimisation on the job, we took a very holistic approach. We needed a heck of a lot of dirt on the job. It was ridiculous how much we needed. And we knew that we couldn't just source it all from virgin material. It's not a sustainable option to do, and all of our quarries are quite a distance away. We also had the great opportunity of having quite a lot of projects around Perth that needed a lot of excavation and didn't have anywhere for their dirt to go. Sounds pretty simple, except that the dirt wasn't necessarily in the best quality for us to use on the job. And Main Roads WA, which was our client on this project, they've got fairly rigorous specifications, as you can imagine. Then there's also our own dirt from the project that we ripped up, like topsoil, that actually wasn't any good for us to use. Our topsoil had so much weed through it, it wasn't funny. We couldn't reuse it in soft landscaping. So we actually set up our own, basically a recycling area on the project site, got it all licensed and everything like that. So that way we could actually bring people's dirt and our own to the site and actually go through and process it and then spit it out into a material that was actually suitable for use on the job. So this not only saved us a heck of a lot in money, but it also saved a lot in transport with and the carbon emissions associated with that. It also saved a lot of other projects in time, cost, and also their landfill impacts by delivering the material to us. And then we were able to use it, as I said, for fill, or where we actually found a high organic content, we're actually able to use it to help out the 1 million plants that we put in on the job. So although we did make a lot of effort in this, about 20% of our material on site was actually recycled. That actually equates to 1 million tonnes of recycled materials, basically. So it really wasn't a small quantity. We just needed a lot of dirt out there. We also had the lovely luxury of coming across a couple of contaminated sites that we didn't really know about. Another fun week. And we went through a few processes. A few people pulled out some hair. And a few other lovely words were said, but in the end we figured out some lovely methods so we could actually process the material once again on site and reuse majority of it. We went from having 32,000 cubic metres of contaminated material that the knee-jerk reaction generally is, send it to landfill. We were actually able to reuse majority of it on site. I think we only had to get rid of about 4.5 tonnes of actual waste in the end. We also had a great recycling program in place for all of our construction waste. As most metro jobs, you have that many people working on the project. Getting them to sort waste, it just doesn't work because the guys that you have on site one week, they're not there the next week and you've got a new batch to train. And some of them are very much fit into the can't teach the old dog new tricks situation. So we actually got engaged a contractor. They provided us with lovely bins on site. We put all of our construction waste in there and they took it all off site and they processed it at their facilities, which we went there and audited. So it was quite a lot of effort and it was a great reward in the end. There was also a lot of flora and fauna on the job. We had a lot of bandicoots to relocate, which was quite significant given that it's an urban project. We also went through and surveyed over 1,000 trees on the job. We classified any tree with a diameter at breast height of more than 15 centimetres as significant, as long as it's native. Then our designers actually went through and along the edge of our design, they went through and classified red to go, green can stay probably, depending on whether or not it grows straight or however else. Then our construction crew went over it and had a look at it as well. And then we looked at it in the field just to finally check it all out. And we're actually able to save a lot of trees on the job by doing that, going through that method. We also propagated over 2,000 rare plants. As I said, we had 2 of those lovely species. And through the upgrade of the job, we also managed to squeeze in a fauna underpass, which that's a lovely bandicoot down there. So it was great when we actually saw the bandicoot go through. We've had a lot of other reptiles and things like that as well. Now, the Gateway project was also, I guess, it's a gateway into Perth. It's for all of our visitors from interstate, like yourselves, or from international locations that are coming in to have a look. They're not only driving through it, but they needed it to look great from the air. So I think we did pretty well. I might be a bit biased, but I think so. And so this is our main interchange through here. It's going to look great in about 5 years when the vegetation comes through properly. But we've got some great land art throughout it, and it actually reflects through here the Dreamtime creature, the Woggle, which our local Indigenous tribes, the Noongars, believe in. So we had a lot of input from the Noongars in terms of how we went through and reflected their values throughout our design. This was also true along some noise walls, which is another Aboriginal art piece. This wall through here, I think this goes for about 700 metres or a kilometre, I can't remember that fact, but it's actually an artist's impression of another piece of Aboriginal artwork. And then, just to put a new spin on a bit of heritage within urban design, we went through and contacted a few of the local schools, and we got the kids to draw what they thought that their faces looked like, and we put them up on this wall through here. Not only that though, we asked them, where are their parents from? Where are your grandparents from? And we got some of their ancestrage, and we reflected that with different textiles on the walls along here. And then to put it all together and show that we are a community of one, we've got lots of people around the wall, all holding hands of different colours. So it's supposed to be a reflection on what today's heritage is over in the Belmont and Redcliffe areas of Perth. But that's enough about Gateway. Over to Northlink WA. This is basically at the top of the Gateway project. We're going to go through and upgrade the rest of the Tonkin Highway through there, and then continue building for quite another few kilometres. So this is going to surpass Gateway. This is 1.1 billion. The aim of this project is to reroute a lot of the heavy vehicles that take other areas of transport, which is just getting to the point where it's becoming encumbersome. It's going to relieve a lot of traffic pressures, and it's going to connect our regional area in the north down with our Perth Airport and local commercial areas. So it's been divided up into 3 different sections. The bottom section in the pink, that's already under construction, and the rest of the other 2 are going to start very soon. So on this job, there's been a great sustainability approach that's been put together. So to begin with, the project was registered for a rating well and truly before any idea of what the contract looks like for the detailed design or the actual construction itself. So getting in early was very much a key driver on this job. So looking at the materiality and the context of the job and going through and identifying some focus areas to concentrate on with sustainability was definitely key to this project, and using the IS framework to actually guide how this ends up working, and then identifying opportunities and actually putting in plans to get them implemented. So on the job, even though it's only just sort of started, there's been some great sustainable outcomes to date. There's been a life cycle analysis tool that's been implemented within the design itself to help inform it. The cycle paths are even bigger than usual, because over in Perth we definitely absolutely encourage cycling rather than the cars on the road. And up until recently it was illegal to cycle on normal footpaths. We've got nutrient stripping, fauna crossings, adaptive lighting options, and material reuse and waste minimisation plans in place. So a lot of thought and research has gone into it. But the one I like about this the best is that there's a great handovers between phases. There is not the issue of only getting the documents during tender that have been worked on during concept design, and that's it. There's a great handover process in place. So that way you're not reinventing the wheel when you come to detailed design, or you're not dismissing something because you don't understand the full background to it. Then even further north of this job, we've got the Great Northern Highway, Mushay to Woburn Stage 2 upgrade. This one's a bit smaller, but it's still very important. It's only $400 million, but it's still a lot more money than that's in my bank account, so it's still a lot of money. This project is getting delivered by an integrated project team, and the reason for it is to connect the even further northern area of WA back into Perth, especially with our road trains and other freight that requires the use of the job. So our integrated project team, they've come on board to do quite a lot of things. They've done the detailed design and the early works, so like service relocations and fence relocations. They're doing some land acquisition and also some procurement. And this has actually led to 7 construct-only packages going out for the 218 kilometres worth of road. And the integrated project team is made up of Main Roads, Jacob and Arup. Seems to be working quite well. So the key focus areas for this project was making sure that the IS rating and just sustainable outcomes in general were incorporated into contracts, and it was also incorporated into design. So with the sustainability and design process, it was making sure that climate change risk assessment was in there, opportunities were identified through workshops, having reference footprints, and having environmental input into the assessments options, which is crucial. Not only does it save trees, but actually it saves a lot of time in WA with approvals as well, so there's that added benefit as well. So there's also been some research for local water and material sources. There's a delivery of an early works construction program and a lot of stakeholder engagement and urban design focus areas. So this project, only 2 packages have started, but it's still going pretty well. So it's been able to reduce the vegetation clearing, which is great, but it's got sustainability requirements in each of these contracts. And given that there's 7 contracts and it's only a $400 million job, and that's pretty special because most of our smaller contractor partners are a bit new to this. We've got clauses in the first 2 construction contracts that have gone out, but the rest have got this sustainability specification that's actually been written up specifically for Main Roads to be able to use as a standalone document in future projects as well. So that's a great legacy there. There's the trial of Indigenous employment targets, the Youth Community Development Program, and that's focusing on some of the local Indigenous who are struggling to become employment ready. Then the project's also looking at sourcing some of the local naturally occurring gravels and incorporating them into the design, and grabbing some of the local businesses early during the service relocation works and the like, and actually getting them to do the works and not just employing someone who's all the way down, sorry, this joke's not going to make any sense, all the way down in Mandurah. That's about, I don't know, 3-hour drive away. She gets it at the back, it's all good. And we've also got a heritage value promotion as well within the project. So that's not all that we're doing. We don't just build roads in Perth, we do other things. And we have been applying the IS tool, just not as keenly as Main Roads WA has been applying it so far. So an upcoming project that we've got, and another one I'm excited about, I want to be able to catch the train from the airport. So we've got the Forestfield Airport link, and that's been run by our Public Transport Authority. That job, they broke ground on it about 2 weeks ago, and it's due for completion, I think, in about 4 years. So it's got a while to go, but that's what happens when you're trying to build about 8 k's worth of tunnel. Then we've also got the Rouse Head Industrial Area for Fremantle Ports. This project's been going on for quite a while, and Adam from Fremantle Ports has been heavily involved in getting the IS framework involved in it, and it's had some great achievements. But overall, here over in WA, we wouldn't be having the outcomes that we've had without quite a lot of people involved. So we've had our clients absolutely driving this. It's in the contracts. There's no question about it. This is what they want. The contractors and the designers on the job, they're coming around, and some of them are actually asking us straight up, what's going on with sustainability? What can we do? And then we've got the project teams, and then the subcontractors and the suppliers, particularly the guys out on the ground during construction. They make a tremendous difference into the success of the project. So as much as all of us here would like to say that we've achieved a lot. We definitely haven't achieved it on our own. So now, afternoon tea or whatever else, if you've got any questions, I can only answer on a few of the projects. But otherwise, we've got Louis Bettini here from Main Roads, who you saw as the puppet up here earlier. It's all right, he's just my client, it's okay. We've got Sophie Wallace, who's been pivotal on the Northlink WA project. She's over there. And then we've also got Emma from the Great Northern Highway. So thank you very much.